The Hugh Hewitt Show. I am expecting Jim Talent, but I don't see him. Senator Talent, are you there?
I am here.
Oh,
No,
my
you
screen is
can't.
frozen.
You're the only one on TV. I'm not on TV in front of my
No, but my
computer. We're
screen
not
is
zooming this.
frozen. This is the minions have overrun the tribbles have overrun the screen, and it's frozen at 4:45. That's why. Senator Talent, I talked about David Deptula. The president gave an interview yesterday. He said the Communist Chinese Party wants to do whatever it can to defeat him. I believe he's correct. Do you believe he's correct?
Well, yes. I mean, I think because what the president's done is he's catalyzed and galvanized a sentiment that was there before he came. Okay, which is that our greatest, challenge internationally is China, and we're discovering different ways in which they are expressing that challenge, and one of them is taking over international institutions like the WHO, right? So, and that's not the first one where they've done that to it. So in other words, they're trying to penetrate a lot of UN organizations, the International Telecommunications Union, the Civil Aviation Organization, the Human Rights Council. And people have known for a long time that they had undue influence, let's put it that way, at the WHO.
All right, so former Senator of Missouri Jim Talent, if the Senate passes Phase 4, and I believe it will because it must, there are critical areas of the economy that need help. There is some legislation that has to be done about the high-tech sector. And, of course, some state and local governments need some help carefully crafted, and especially businesses need liability protection from the vultures in the plaintiff's bar. Not all plaintiffs' lawyers are vultures, but there are all vultures are plaintiffs' lawyers. That's my view. So they need a lot of help. There will be a Phase 4. What should Phase 4 include as a bare minimum when it comes to strategic reorientation towards China?
Towards China, well, I would. You've been absolutely correct. This is a great opportunity to forward fund some of the key programs of the Department of Defense, and it's the Department of Defense is the foundation of all the other tools of power. In other words, the tools of smart power or soft power get their strength, their effectiveness from the hard power. We don't like to use the hard. That's not our preferred means of foreign policy. So this would be a great time to go in. You're talking about forward funding some ships. We could do that. We're going to announce the new frigate contract. We ought to build a lot of those. We could talk about the frigate if you want, but I would have liked to see that ship come in at less than it's going to cost, so we could buy more of them. But we've got what we've got. So I would look at that.
Do you know which one's going to win? Do you have a guess? The Hunter Ingersoll or the Frem?
Listen, if Admiral Stav wasn't going to guess, I'm not going to guess. I did a little consulting for Marinette Marine years ago, anyway, so I probably shouldn't. We've got a frigate. We're going to go. We need to go forward and build it, and we need to contest effectively China's actions in international organizations in the international space. And using our funding as part of that. I mean, the president's right to say, look, if we're going to keep paying so much, we want organizations that are designed to carry out the purposes of the UN, not the purposes of the Chinese Communist Party. Okay.
Now, General Deptula was on in the first hour, at the first segment of this hour, and I asked him the same question. He said, the B-21 forward fund, and by forward fund, I mean they can appropriate this year and turn over to the defense contractor perfectly constitutionally all the money they need to build the entire line. And that sends a huge signal out through the noise to the defense industrial base. They can do that with the B-35. They can do that with, the F-35. They can do that with the B-21. They can do that with the frigate. They can do it with carriers, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, each of the services has needs of that kind. I don't want to get. David's focused on, as you would expect, on the Air Force, although he's good all across the board, right? So each of the services has capitalization needs. We could forward fund that, and I think that would be the best statement we could send to Beijing. I'll guarantee you that's the thing Beijing doesn't want to hear about. And that's the kind of thing that says, there's a problem, right? The Americans are building.
They're awake. They're awake. Right? And has Donald Trump, has the country woken up, Jim? There's so much anti-Trump hatred that it's overwhelming the key signal here, which is, it's on my call screen. It's the Chinese Communist Party, stupid, in my bow to James Carville.
I'll answer yes. I think the country has awakened. I think there's a strong bipartisan sentiment. Now, we're going to go through this election, and that is going to appear to overwhelm other things. But I don't think we're going back to the old era where we assume the Chinese were going to become responsible
Oh, your old
international
friend
players.
Joe Biden scares me about this. I know he's your friend. I don't think he's awake to this. I think the appeasement rump in the Democratic Party will have its hooks into him. Last 30 seconds to you.
Well, I don't think he's going to win, but although it's early, who knows? But listen, I testified about a year ago before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee on China, and I was surprised at the strong bipartisan sentiment to do something. I mean, they're casting about for things to do about China. So, yeah, I think we're in a new world, and I don't think we're going back.
I hope you're right. I hope Team Biden just sheds all of the China appeasers, all of the, I don't call them globalists. I will call them CCP dependent special interests. And there are